Right now on Morning News Now, a tense quiet on the Middle Eastern front. American and Iranian forces seeming to halt attacks this morning after days of trading strikes. But how long will it last, and what could come next on the path to peace in the region? Also this morning, playing defense, new questions over safety measures on board President Trump's new Qatari-gifted Air Force One after the Secret Service recommended the commander-in-chief fly the old jet back from this week's NATO summit overseas. More on the reasoning behind that call and the president's response, all as Mr. Trump's home airport down in Florida gets a major White House facelift. Plus, we have said it once, we will say it again. Pack your patience. Some wild post-holiday weekend weather causing even more headaches for travelers this morning, with delays and cancellations already piling up over the past few hours. Angie's here with your full weekend forecast so you can know before you go. And later in the hour, Savannah sits down with the first female CEO of Levi Strauss for a candid conversation on an American institution looking ahead to its next chapter in our history books. Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Vicki Wynn in for Joe and Savannah today. We begin our show in the Middle East, where tensions remain high after President Trump said the ceasefire with Iran was over. This morning, there is an uneasy calm in the region after both sides appeared to halt attacks overnight. This follows 2 consecutive days of U.S. strikes on Iran and Iranian strikes in retaliation on U.S. bases in the Gulf. Despite the apparent pause in fighting, deep mistrust on both sides is raising doubts about what comes next and the long-term path to peace. NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr joins us now with the very latest. Hey, Alice.
Hey, Vicki, good morning. We are tracking the latest out of the Middle East while also learning more about President Trump swapping planes midway through his flight back from the NATO summit in Turkey this week and the security precautions that may have been behind that. After 2 nights of strikes between the U.S. and Iran overnight last night, a tense standoff, with Iranian state media reporting explosions across the country. A U.S. official tells NBC News American forces did not launch new strikes, but have been shooting down incoming Iranian drones and missiles aimed at neighboring nations. The official said there are no reports of injuries or significant damage to U.S. bases in the region. Iranian Americans again fearing for the family they left behind.
Everybody's shocked because they thought they're going to stop the war, so everybody's scared again.
On Thursday, huge crowds gathered for the burial of the Iranian supreme leader killed in an airstrike at the start of the war launched by the U.S. and Israel. The burial ends a week of funeral processions that have included calls for retribution against President Trump, all as we're learning new details about security precautions involving Air Force One. 2 sources now say that while there was no specific threat, the Secret Service recommended President Trump fly in the old Air Force One when taking off from the NATO summit in Turkey Wednesday, instead of the new one that was gifted by Qatar and upgraded with what the White House called high-level security protocols. Sources familiar with the aircraft now tell NBC News it does not have all the defensive capabilities built into the older military-grade presidential plane. The president downplayed concerns.
I have a threat all the time. I'm number 1 on their list.
While he again asserted Iran wants to make a deal for long-term peace, but that he doesn't know if they'll stick to it. As for the critical Strait of Hormuz, sources and data show traffic plunged through that vital shipping route this week after the flare-up in fighting that started with Iran firing on commercial ships in an effort to exert control over the strait, all of it with a direct impact on oil and gas prices. Vicki?
Alice Barr, thank you so much. Let's continue this conversation with NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach. So, Gary, let's talk about the political implications here of this renewed escalation with Iran. What does this mean for the president?
So we are 116 days from the midterm elections, and every single day that we get closer, it's going to matter more and more to the American people what is going on in the Middle East. And for politicians, Republicans around the country in some of these tight races are really going to have to defend the president's actions or risk getting alienated by him as they continue to run for these seats. Meanwhile, for voters, the economic consequences have been very clear. Tens of billions of dollars have already been spent on the war with Iran, and prices of nearly everything around the country have skyrocketed, while prices at the pump may be settling down a little bit. Things like air prices, especially airfare this summer, has continued to be sky high. Vicki.
You know, Alice talked about it a little bit in her piece, but what more are we learning this morning about why President Trump swapped planes on the way back from this NATO summit in Turkey? I mean, there was so much fanfare made about the new gifted Air Force One. What went into the thinking behind that security decision to take the old Air Force One?
Yeah, so we took the new Air Force One from the U.S. over to Ankara, Turkey. There was a big deal. Everyone was very excited about his first international trip. And then on the way back, he flew from Turkey to the U.K. in the old Air Force One, we're told at NBC News, because the new one lacked some defense capabilities that the old one had. So they took it out of Turkey, given how close Turkey physically is. It shares a land border with Iran. Took it out of Turkey over to Mildenhall, which is a military base in the U.K. President Trump downplaying it, saying purely he wanted to let members of the military see the new Air Force One and show it off a little bit. So he's certainly not viewing it as an issue, but members of the Secret Service, members of the military certainly are, Vicki.
Okay, Gary, take us now to West Palm Beach Airport in Florida, because it is now officially called President Donald J. Trump International Airport. What does the president stand to gain from this name change? And are we hearing any reaction this morning?
Yeah, out with PBI, in with DJT. That's what President Trump for decades has been putting his name on things. Think Trump Steak, Trump University, Trump Water, Trump Ice. Now we've got Donald J. Trump International Airport after Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law putting that into effect a couple months ago. It officially went into effect yesterday, and the first flight taking off from Donald J. Trump International Airport was a flight of the what's dubbed Trump Force One, Trump's own personal plane filled with members of his family and close personal allies of the president. But yeah, he could stand to make a ton of money, because anything inside Donald J. Trump International Airport that has that name on it, think like tchotchkes at the airport kiosks that has that name, he and his family and his holding company could make money off of any of that. Vicki.
Gary, can you talk about the legalities of that? How is that possible? I thought there were rules against sitting presidents earning money and making profit while they're in office.
So it all has to do with the holding company, right? The trademark was trademarked under a company called DJT Enterprises, and because of that, he is able to make that kind of money. His family is able to make that kind of money. Will he be pocketing it himself? Potentially not, but certainly his family, Don Jr., Eric, and that holding company could absolutely be doing that.
All right, Gary Grumbach, appreciate it. Thank you. Now let's turn to the campaign trail, where the candidates are lining up to replace Graham Platner as the Democratic nominee for Senate in Maine. Platner says he will step down as the nominee after facing an on-the-record rape allegation made by an ex-girlfriend. He continues to deny any wrongdoing. Two sources familiar with his plans say that he will not withdraw until Monday, right ahead of a key deadline. For more on this, we want to bring in Alec Hernandez. Alec, it's good to see you. He's a reporter with Politico. He's been covering this story. So, Alec, tell us a little bit more about how this is going to play out with the Democrats, because this is such a big race. They were hoping to gain control in the Senate in this upcoming midterm.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Vicki. Thanks so much for having me. I think the first thing to point out here is just how crucial this Senate seat is for Democrats to win this year. They have to win a net 4 seats in order to take back control of the Senate. And they see Susan Collins as the most vulnerable Republican for them to unseat. She's, representing a state here in Maine that went heavily for Kamala Harris in 2024. And the winds are at Democrats' backs here in the midterm. So all eyes were on Maine for Democrats to find the candidate that they thought would be able to beat Susan Collins. Of course, Graham Platner has now withdrawn, and that process will restart all over again. But the stakes for Democrats here are just super high.
You know, Alec, Platner made this announcement that he's planning to withdraw on Wednesday, put out that video message. So why is he waiting until Monday, the last minute, to file the actual paperwork?
So he didn't necessarily say why he's waiting until the last minute, but state law here in Maine stipulates that any candidate seeking to withdraw would have to do so by the 13th, which is this upcoming Monday at 5 p.m. So, the video that he released announcing his intention to step aside earlier this week was just really the first part of the process, him stepping down in words. Now he actually has to submit paperwork with the Secretary of State's office to be officially removed from the ballot, which will then allow state Democrats here to be able to start the process of finding a replacement in order to, have enough time here to take on Susan Collins and win potentially here in November.
So, Alec, what about those replacements? Who could take his place in this race, and talk about the process? Walk us through what that looks like, because Democrats only have until July 27th to name the new nominee.
Yeah, well, let's start with the process, Vicki, because at the moment it's sort of piecemeal what it's going to entail. So what we know from Maine Democrats is that the larger picture is that it's going to be essentially a nominating convention. We don't know when that convention will be, but we do know, according to two sources familiar with the planning here, that the process or the convention is going to have 600 delegates, 500 of whom will be selected by state county committees, and they will meet to name this next replacement here. And Maine Democrats overnight last night saying that part of the process for these candidates that have put themselves forward is going to be a signature collecting process. They're going to have to collect 500 signatures from registered Maine voters here in order to qualify to take part in the convention. But the through line between all of the candidates here who are trying to replace Graham Platner is that the majority of them, there are at least 8 of them now, and I say at least because it feels like that number keeps growing by the hour here, but the majority of them have already run for office here in Maine this year. You have 3 of the former candidates here for governor. That's Dr. Nirav Shah, who's the former top public health official here in Maine. You have Secretary of State Shenna Bellows. And then you have other folks who, Troy Jackson, who's a former state Senate president here in Maine, who had the backing of Bernie Sanders like Graham Platner did during the governor's race. So a big field of contenders and a lot still up in the air, but we'll see where it goes, Vicki.
All right, a lot of people to sift through. Alec Hernandez, thank you very much. It is the final day of a key hearing to determine if prosecutors have enough evidence to try Tyler Robinson for the murder of political activist Charlie Kirk. In court yesterday, prosecutors shared never-before-seen photos of the weapon that was allegedly used to kill Kirk. They also released clips from a recorded interview in April with Robinson's former roommate and romantic partner, who said that Robinson regretted the shooting. NBC News correspondent Camila Bernal has the very latest from the courtroom.
For the first time, we're hearing from the former roommate of Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk.
I started crying a little bit and said he wishes he hadn't done it.
This moment from a previously recorded interview is part of what prosecutors consider a confession Robinson made to his then roommate and romantic partner, Lance Twiggs. The video shown at a hearing in Utah, along with messages they exchanged the day of the September 2025 shooting.
So this would have been from Tyler. It says, drop what you're doing, look under your keyboard.
Prosecutors say under that keyboard was a handwritten note that said, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. Kirk's wife, Erica, who has been in court all week, in tears as that note was read. Twiggs describing their interaction the day after the shooting like this.
I just asked him in person if what he said was true the night before, and he said it was.
In court, prosecutors also showing never-before-seen photos of the rifle believed to have been used by Robinson and engraved bullets.
Will you read the markings here?
A fascist.
Camila Bernal, NBC News.
Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos to break down these latest developments. Danny, good morning to you. So prosecutors did not share the full interview with Twiggs. Parts of it were redacted. What do you think of all of the evidence that was revealed yesterday?
Absolutely devastating. You heard just a fraction of it. You've got shell casings. You've got admissions apparently made to the roommate. Those will likely be admissible and non-hearsay. Absolutely devastating. And step back a little because some context helps. Preliminary hearings, and I've done probably thousands of them. Preliminary hearings are just probable cause hearings. In some states, they last as long as it takes for the DA or the prosecutor to literally read a few paragraphs from a police report. Hearsay is allowed. The rules of evidence are relaxed. So it shows that this is an unusual case that is of such import. And by the way, Utah has very relaxed rules at a probable cause hearing. This is a hearing that ordinarily would take maybe half an hour, maybe an hour. But the prosecution here has laid out a lot of evidence, more than enough, in my view, to get them over probable cause. And what they have revealed, and they wanted to reveal more, has been simply devastating for the defense.
You know, Danny, the defense really did try to stop the interview with Twiggs from being released publicly. They said that the prosecution would label it a confession and that it could really hurt his right to a fair trial, right? Potentially tainting the jury pool. Everybody who has seen what has been revealed so far. I mean, clearly the judge didn't think that was a valid argument. Why?
The court has to engage in a balancing test. On the one hand, we have a very strong presumption that courts in the United States are open to the public. And while what's in the prosecutor's file is not is private until they choose to reveal it, once revealed in court, generally speaking, the default rule is everybody gets to see it. But the defense does have an argument, a constitutional argument, that a defendant has a right to a fair trial, and that too much pretrial publicity can taint that right to a fair trial. The case is actually Shepard. It was the subject of a movie that's now an old movie, The Fugitive, but it's sort of the same idea. It's very, very rare, but enough negative pretrial publicity can threaten the right to a fair trial. But no matter what, this was an uphill fight for the defense. This was going to come out, most of it. They got some of it redacted, so a minor victory.
All right, Danny. And Robinson still has not entered a plea in this case. You are a defense attorney. What do you think the strategy ought to be here, especially given all of this evidence?
Yeah, the fact that he hasn't entered a plea is really part of procedure. The preliminary hearing is a probable cause hearing. Only if he's held over for trial will Robinson then actually enter a plea. And it's easy to step back and say, oh, my gosh, this case has been going on for months and months and months. He hasn't even entered a plea yet. Well, unfortunately, this is what people find, that the wheels of justice are not the wheels of a Ferrari. They're the wheels of a covered wagon, and they move very, very slowly as they grind on. So once he is held over, that is procedurally, and this is pretty standard across the country. Once there is probable cause and the case is held over for trial, that is when the defendant enters the plea.
Okay, and quickly before you go, Danny, the prosecution does want to seek the death penalty for Robinson. When might we see a decision on that and a potential trial date?
The prosecution has already made their decision. It's really about a procedural step, the preliminary hearing, the probable cause hearing. Once this case moves forward, the prosecution will be seeking the death penalty, which Utah has the death penalty. Many states do. Many states do not. And so they have made their decision. They're planning to move forward, and that may be leverage that they will get the defendant possibly to consider a plea, maybe for life without the possibility of parole instead of capital punishment.
All right, Danny Savalas, as always, we appreciate your legal insight. Thank you. All right, if you are planning to take a trip this weekend, you might want to pack your patience. Strong summer storms, full flights causing major delays at airports across the country. For the very latest, we're going to check in with NBC News correspondent Ryan Chandler, who is covering the story for us this morning from Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport in Texas. Good morning, Ryan. So more than 1,000 flights are canceled as of this morning, 9,000 more delayed yesterday. What's causing the backups? How are things looking today?
Yeah, Vicki, brutal day at the airports all across the country. It is not yet 6:30 here in DFW, and you already see the lines are starting to stack up. Talking with the experts, there's a couple things going on here, because I would have thought we would have gotten through that big travel rush from the 4th of July last weekend, but some remnants of that are still trickling into this weekend. They say that with all of the delays and cancellations that happened Monday going in to this work week after the 4th of July, a lot of those people just couldn't get rebooked, some for days. So there's some people who maybe extended their holiday week involuntarily and are finally getting home now after last weekend's trip. There's also just cost pressures that are leading more people to travel on off-peak times. Maybe prices were too expensive over the 4th, so they said, we'll take a weekend trip the weekend after. And seems like everybody had that idea because so many people are at the airport, Vicki.
Yeah, I think it caught a lot of people off guard that the FAA said that, July 9th was suddenly going to be one of the busiest days, if not the busiest day of this summer. We also know it's a tough time to travel in the month of July because of the delays, the storms. What are some ways that people can try to have a smoother travel experience despite all the things that are out of their control, Ryan?
Few tips and tricks. This one I just learned. I didn't know you can make it through a security line nowadays without ever touching your wallet. It's called TSA PreCheck Touchless ID, and you can sign up with a participating airline, get all that information through Google Wallet on your phone. make it much more seamless going through security. You can pair that with companies like Clear. That golden combination I use every time, a PreCheck plus Clear, you sail past everybody. You feel like an expert traveler. If you're going to get up early with us anyway, just take the earliest flight of the day. You really lower the risk for storms that crop up in the afternoon. Your plane's already at the gate from where it was coming in the night before. Makes it that much more likely you're going to get where you're going on time, Vicki.
Yeah, all really good advice. It's always that first flight of the day makes a big difference because the plane usually comes in overnight. It's already there. Right, what about people who are trying to fly out or hit the road this weekend? What parts of the country could maybe be some of the biggest trouble spots?
I wish I could point you to like one location, Vicki, but we're seeing different kinds of extreme weather all across the country from coast to coast. The Northeast got battered by some severe thunderstorms across New Jersey and Washington, D.C. yesterday. As you know, the heat is really the main story up in Montana and the Dakotas. They could see record-breaking temperatures, and that's an area that's really not used to it. So we're going to have to see how that impacts things all across the board, Vicki.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much. Have a good Friday. Now let's go ahead and get a check on your morning news now weather with NBC meteorologist Angie Lastman. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey guys, happy Friday. We've got a couple of trouble spots when it comes to the weather as we get through today and into the weekend. Some of those coming from those strong to severe storms that are likely going to pop up across parts of the Midwest and the Northeast. If you're flying out of Kansas City, St. Louis, Cincinnati today, you'll likely see some delays. And those are also going to be possible at the airport, stretching from New York City all the way down to Charlotte, including Atlanta and New Orleans as well, as we gear up for some scattered thunderstorms. Right now, already seeing a pretty active morning. Most of that stretch across parts of Missouri into Kentucky. You can see some of these flash flood warnings and watches are up right now. 19 million people included in that flood watch as more of that heavy rain is on the table through the day today. We'll specifically watch for the greatest chance for flash flooding anywhere from Kansas City to Pittsburgh and down through Knoxville, including Nashville and Cincinnati today. Rainfall rates, hourly rainfall rates, I should say, anywhere from 1 inch to up to 3 inches on already saturated ground. So that is why we are concerned for the flooding. Otherwise, temperatures above average, and we're talking about for most of the country at this point. We've got the 90s on tap yet again across Memphis today, a heat index of 107. 107 for what it'll feel like in New Orleans, Charleston at 108 for your heat index. Richmond, you top out at 93 degrees, but you feel like 97. And that heat expands even as we get into tomorrow. Most of parts of the Northeast running above normal, stretching down to the Southeast. Savannah, your actual temperature is 100 degrees, but you'll feel like 106. And we finish out the weekend with those warm conditions continuing across the West as well. Here's what it looks like today. We'll see the potential for the 90s plus across much of this region, the Rockies, the Southwest included, and we could be likely breaking some of these all-time records across this region. So it's 98 degrees in Jackson on Sunday, 97 on Monday, 100 plus across parts of Colorado. Rapid City, you top out at 105 on Sunday and Monday for your actual temperature. Otherwise, nice conditions across parts of the interior Northeast and New England as we get through your Saturday. Dry conditions, too, for the Great Lakes and the Midwest. We'll see record highs, as I mentioned, across most of the West, but those severe storms could slow you down for parts of the Southeast, not only Saturday, but Sunday as well. We'll see that heat wave continuing well into the end of our weekend across the West. Back to you.
All right, Angie, thank you so much. And much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including how drones could actually shape the future of public safety, flying to emergency scenes within seconds of a call. First, though, after the break, dozens reportedly killed in China after a shoe factory there goes up in flames. We'll have the terrifying scenes as the nation grapples with another workplace tragedy. That is next. We're back with a massive fire that tore through a multi-story shoe factory in southeast China. More than 200 people were inside the building when that fire broke out. At least 28 were killed. NBC News international correspondent Janice Mackey-Frere has the latest and a warning. Some of this video is disturbing.
Terrifying scenes at a shoe factory in southeastern China, where flames and thick smoke engulf the entire building, trapping workers on the roof. A man standing at the edge as a woman cries out, "Come on, jump, they're afraid." And this person holding on to the building before they fall. In this video, voices saying firefighters can't get there. 239 people were inside the factory when the fire broke out, according to Chinese state media. Volunteers tried using ladders to help some escape. Officials say at least 28 people were killed.
7月9号12时许。
Widely covered across state media, the blaze is the latest in a string of fatal workplace accidents here, including explosions at a fireworks factory and inside a coal mine that prompted nationwide scrutiny of workplace safety in China. The fire at the shoe factory started on the ground floor, a local official told state media, and said that materials there were poorly stored and highly flammable, making it hard for rescue teams to get people out. The fire prompted swift and public criticism from China's leader Xi Jinping, who ordered a full investigation and said those responsible for the tragedy should answer for it. Janice Mackey-Frayer, NBC News, Beijing.
Janice, thank you. Fans around the world are mourning music legend Bonnie Tyler this morning after her death following an illness at the age of 75. Known for her distinctive, raspy voice, Tyler's music helped define an era and continues to resonate with fans across generations. Coming up, it has been a brand that has been a staple of American fashion for more than a century. But after the break, Savannah introduces us to Levi Strauss's first female CEO, who's looking to write an inclusive new chapter in the company's storied history book. That's next. Now to a piece of technology that could change the future of public safety. A new generation of drones is being designed to respond to 911 calls with the ability to get to emergency scenes within seconds. The drones are already helping first responders across the U.S. And now one company is aiming to have those drones replace some police helicopters altogether. NBC News Now anchor Gotti Schwartz went to Seattle to show us.
Flashing sirens and whirling choppers. Emergency response has always looked and sounded something like this. But in Seattle, there's a new drone company making a lot of noise about the future of policing.
That's louder than a squad car.
25-year-old Blake Resnick is the founder of Brink Drones, a company that wants to get a drone above any emergency anywhere in the world in seconds.
My goal with Brink is to drop global emergency response times to tens of seconds.
And it's not just for surveillance.
It is carrying a 2-pack of Narcan.
Brink drones can deliver first aid equipment. They can break windows. And they can beam back video to an incident command post or anyone with a cell phone.
That video is being streamed to all, like the incident commander and then the people, the officers, like it's all on an app. It's all on their iPhones.
Could go to the mayor, could go to the fire chief.
There's a report of something on fire in the street.
The economics of drones acting like or replacing police helicopters around the country are already playing out. A 2023 study by the city of Los Angeles found that its fleet of helicopters cost nearly $3,000 per flight hour to operate, compared to just $10 to $50 an hour for a drone. And if a Brink drone goes down,
this parachute will deploy.
I'm going to be switching to night vision.
As for the kind of close-quarter missions that SWAT teams deal with,
we've sold to public safety agencies in all 50 states. Over 20% of the SWAT teams in the country actively utilize a Brink drone.
Clients like the NYPD for SWAT and helping officers deal with armed suspects. And SWAT teams using Brink drones is where it all started. Resnick was in high school when the Mandalay Bay shooting in his hometown of Las Vegas happened. It was the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history.
That's what got me thinking about building public safety technology to, help first responders save lives.
That tragedy led Resnick, who was still a teenager at the time, to pitch a meeting with the Las Vegas SWAT team, promising an idea that could revolutionize public safety.
I thought if they could just get eyes and ears in dangerous places in the context of some of those events, that would help them save lives, and I thought I could build that.
But there was a sharp learning curve.
I learned SWAT houses tend to be super dirty. They have trash all over the floors up to your knees, which can be a problem with drones. Ingesting plastic bags is a legitimate threat. I learned that a lot of SWAT suspects end up hiding in attics. So entering attics and searching them effectively is actually a pretty important SWAT drone mission.
Fast forward to today, drones are on their way to ubiquity, but concerns over surveillance are still top of mind.
Do you think that we're headed to a future in which everyone is constantly being watched?
Honestly, no. I mean, I think that the vast majority of the agencies that adopt this technology will use it only to respond to active emergencies.
Whether that happens or not, he says it should be up to each community to decide how drones are used.
Every city that adopts our technology goes through a city council vote where they decide if they want to sign our contract or not. And They also decide on policy, how they want to use their drones. These are decisions that are being made on a community-by-community basis.
Gotti Schwartz, NBC News.
And from new technology to a product that has been part of American culture for more than a century, Levi's jeans. Our own Savannah Sellers sat down with the company's trailblazing CEO for our series, Business in America.
Well, for more than 150 years, one name has helped define American style. Since crafting the first pair of blue jeans in San Francisco in 1873, Levi Strauss & Co. has gone far beyond denim, with everything from shirts and sweaters to jackets and more. Well, as part of our Business in America series, we sat down with Levi's first female CEO, Michelle Gass, to discuss the company's legacy, evolution, and what is next for one of America's most iconic brands.
Inside this nondescript building is a cutting-edge, classified research and development facility for jeans.
According to the internet, this place is quite secretive. It is, and you're in it. It is the pinnacle of denim innovation.
That's Levi's CEO, Michelle Gass, who's been with the jean juggernaut for 3 years. She's the first female CEO in the company's 170-year history. And this is Levi's Eureka Innovation Lab, named for the brand's first customers, gold rush miners. Fans of the rivets Levi Strauss added to pants to reinforce them, creating the blue jean and fashion history on May 20th, 1873. Here, the company stonewashes, lasers, embroiders, and dreams up your favorite denim, created for every customer.
From construction workers to farmers to students to entrepreneurs, tech innovators, celebrities, rock stars, you name it. How do you maintain relevancy to span generations, types of people, types of interests? It's always important to know who you are and where you're from. And we have such a rich, deep heritage and legacy. But we've never stood still. Hundreds and hundreds of people who have worn Levi's and done pretty incredible things.
That's no exaggeration. From Marilyn Monroe to Elvis Presley, Carolyn Bessette to the boss's back pocket, and from cowboys to Cowboy Carter. Beyonce shouting out Levi's in her lyrics and rocking them too.
These are the jeans that Beyonce wore when we did the campaign with her last year. Stop it. These are Steve Jobs jeans. It was part of his uniform, and this is a pair from the 1980s. Wow.
Pieces pulled from their on-site archive, like the oldest pair of jeans, 153 years to be exact, so special, they're stored in a fireproof safe. But just because the company preserves its past doesn't mean they aren't looking to the future.
How are you using AI here at Levi's? I'm a big believer in AI. Our designers, an example, are using AI tools to help them broaden their innovation, improve their capacity, increase their creativity. Is that being embraced by the people who work on your creative teams? It is, and you know, for us, I think that's a really important point, because we are a brand about authenticity, about craft. But if this can be a tool to help our teams think broader or lead to that next idea, then we absolutely should use it. So it's not a replacement at all.
An asset as the company leans into what Gass calls the head-to-toe denim lifestyle, expanding beyond pants into shirts, sweaters, and more.
You're going to find all kinds of great denim skirts, and we're continuing to evolve them. We're still underserving the female consumer. It's not even 40% of our business, and women do a lot of shopping.
That particular stat, a point of focus for Gass, as she aims to take the company from nearly $7 billion a year in revenue to 10. One strategy, open more of their own stores and sell directly to the customer. And she's doing it all in her uniform of sorts.
What's it like to work at a place where it's almost expected to be in denim? Oh my God, it's the best. I don't have to think about what I wear every day. It's really fun to go to conferences. Yeah, exactly. I stand out because I'm always head to toe.
Now it was my turn to give it a try with a styling session with Jill Guenza, head of design for women's denim.
I love the 90s fit.
They look amazing on you. All right, here's outfit number 2.
Okay. So cute. These fit great.
So this is our ribcage bells, inspired by classic 70s flares.
These are the softest jeans I've ever had on in my life. I love it. Gas says customers can work with an AI-powered shopping assistant that lets customers chat with a virtual stylist to find their next look. She's also focused on growing that women's business with an expanded lineup of dresses, skirts, and blouses. She sees Levi's as a brand for every age, culture, generation, and, importantly, every budget.
Savannah, thank you so much. And you can watch the extended sit-down interview with an NBC News subscription. Just scan the QR code to download the NBC News app now and subscribe. Coming up, we have finally made it to Friday, and here on Morning News Now, that can only mean one thing. Grab your AM popcorn, because after the break, we are treating you to the latest and greatest from the world of entertainment, just in time for your weekend. It is simply everything you can't miss next. And finally, this hour, it is Friday, which means it's time for your weekly can't miss list. A look at all the movies, shows, and music you need to see and hear this weekend. Joining me this week, entertainment journalist and pop culture expert, Brian Balthazar. Brian, good morning. Happy Friday. So let's start with what is coming out in theaters and the live-action Moana remake. Moana? The original was a huge global hit. It was actually the most streamed movie of all time on Disney+. I loved it. How does the live-action version compare?
Well, it compares in some ways. People are saying almost exactly. First of all, it's 10 years later. The Rock is back. Looks almost like his animated character. It's pretty incredible. But it stays very true to the animated film. And so people are saying that can be a thing. I also think this is perhaps going to impact the way Disney casts their movies, because The Rock is a great example of someone who translates very well to the live action version. Will they be thinking about that sort of thing when they cast their animated films about eventually doing a live action version? This is going to do very well.
And you didn't answer my question, Brian. Moana or Moana?
I say Moana.
Okay.
Have I been saying it wrong all this time? I just say it quickly.
I'll have to rewatch it. I loved it when it came out, but now I can't remember how they said it in the movie. All right, if we are staying in this weekend, lots of streaming options to choose from. Let's start with the Westies. That is it's based on a notorious crime gang that operated in parts of New York back in the 1970s and the 80s. Some are calling it Manhattan's Peaky Blinders. What do you think?
Right. It looks incredible. J.K. Simmons stars in this. And by the way, this is just blocks away from where 30 Rock is. The Hell's Kitchen, once one of the most dangerous parts of New York City, the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Organized crime was a big problem there. The cinematography and the writing and the performances in this look really good. So if you're into organized crime and into, I don't want to say period because it's not that long ago, but if you're into something that's a little bit further back in time, this is one to watch. Very good.
Okay, sign me up. It looks really good. I can just tell from those images we showed. For something a little different, the 5-star weekend. I've been seeing a lot of ads for this. It's a limited series on Peacock. It has an all-star cast, including Jennifer Garner. What do we know about this story?
Like you said, an incredible all-star cast. This is based on a very popular book. Jennifer Garner is a woman who encounters tragedy in her life and organizes a group of her girlfriends from various parts of her life. Some of them she's been in touch with, some of them she's lost a little touch with. And what unfolds during the course of this is kind of an emotional journey, so to speak. Very popular book. An amazing cast. I think if this is kind of if you want something a bit emotional, you want to feel things this weekend, this is one to watch.
Oh, okay. Also on Peacock, Married at First Sight is back, Brian. This time it is set in Seattle. It's already getting some buzz. What are we expecting?
Again, more of the same kind of drama. The show this is the beauty of developing shows right now. You want a show that says exactly what it is. These are people who marry before they date, and so basically it's all that you can expect. Things don't always work out, as we see. Incredibly popular franchise, and you can see many of the prior franchises on the streaming platform as well. So this is a fun one if you like kind of messy reality TV.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept for sure. Okay, so HBO, they have a new limited documentary series about the Burning Man Festival. It's called The Man Will Burn. I mean, I can only imagine, but the visuals have got to be stunning on this one. What do you know on this new docuseries?
Well, as you can see here from the pictures, it's if not the biggest, one of the biggest festivals you can attend. It is the biggest. And also just what it takes to pull this off. The fact that this happened is a miracle. What we're not knowing yet, because I haven't seen all 4 pieces, is there's a lot of stuff that happens at Burning Man. Not great. People have died at Burning Man, things like that. This one seems to focus more on the lore and the building of the festival and the incredible feat of making it happen and the history and the lore. But I'm curious to know if they will dig into some of the more kind of like unfortunate, kind of darker sides of this festival. But again, if you like a good multi-part documentary, this is one to watch.
Yeah, it looks awesome. All right, speaking of music, what about the Rolling Stones with their new album, Foreign Tongues? People are saying it's still really relevant.
Right. Can you believe this? Of course, look at them. I mean, first of all, oh, to be 25 again, because if you look at their music video for In the Stars, they are de-aged to look like their 20-something selves. And
what is that, AI?
They use a tech company that leans heavily on AI. We don't know exactly all of the trickery that's used, but it's just suffice to say that there's some AI involved. But they are de-aged. The music is great. And look at them in, what is this? Their third album of just this century. Isn't that amazing? Like, so it's great music. Take a listen. I think if you like the Stones, you like this.
All right, Brian Balthazar, thank you so much. And that'll do it for this hour of Morning News Now. The news continues right now. Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Vicki Wynn in for Joe and Savannah today. Right now on Morning News Now, on edge, tensions remain high in the Middle East following this week's exchange of attacks between the U.S. and Iran. Well, now Israel says it is ready to rejoin the attacks after President Trump said the ceasefire was over. The latest on the mounting turmoil in the region as Iran buries its slain former supreme leader who was killed in the U.S. and Israeli strikes earlier in this war. Also this morning, new alarm at the growing number of shark sightings across the country. That includes here in New York, where one beach is seeing a record number of closures due to sightings. We will have more on what is behind this worrying trend. The big holiday travel scramble taking its toll on millions of Americans amid widespread flight delays and cancellations. How the severe weather is also piling on the misery for passengers trying to make the mad dash home following the July 4th holiday week. Plus, France delivers a tour de force performance to become the first team to punch its ticket to the semifinals of the World Cup. How Les Bleus cruise past Morocco. Plus, a look at their next opponents, the winners of tonight's all-European match between Spain and U.S. conquerors Belgium. Well, we begin this hour in the Middle East. The volatile and dynamic situation there continues after this week's renewed escalation of attacks between the U.S. and Iran. This after President Trump said the ceasefire was over. Well, now there are growing fears of further escalation after Israel said it's prepared to rejoin attacks on Iran. All of this comes as Iran buried its slain former supreme leader overnight. He was killed in U.S. and Israeli strikes earlier in the war. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the very latest for us from Istanbul. Good morning to you, Richard.
Good morning. Iranian officials are warning the U.S. against engaging in more of what it describes as military adventurism, as Israeli officials are saying that they are armed and ready to rejoin strikes on Iran.
The risk of all-out war resuming is on the rise. New amateur footage shows fishing boats burning in the Iranian city of Bushehr as Iran claims the U.S. attacked military and civilian infrastructure, killing 14 people. U.S. Central Command said it carried out 2 intense volleys against Iran, targeting dozens of missile bases, radar, and command and control sites near the Strait of Hormuz. It didn't comment on Iran's claims civilian locations were also struck. Iran retaliated with missile and drone attacks on U.S. bases in Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, and Jordan. There were no reports of casualties. Oil prices are rising again as this dangerous tit-for-tat could escalate further. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu said he's prepared to get back into the fight if necessary. The war has not yet ended, he said. The Wall Street Journal reports this morning, citing sources familiar with the matter, that Israel warned the U.S. of a fresh Iranian plan to assassinate Trump in retaliation for the joint U.S.-Israeli attack that killed Iran's supreme leader and obliterated his compound 4 months ago. The Israeli government hasn't commented on that report. Trump acknowledged the risk to his life earlier this week.
I'm their number one target. It's out all over the place. I'm their number one because they're scum.
Iran's desire to kill Trump is hardly a secret. We saw threatening images all across Tehran during the late Supreme Leader's funeral processions. Iranians openly expressed their support. The late Supreme Leader's week-long funeral is now over. He was buried on Thursday in a shrine in Mashhad. Iran's new Supreme Leader, his son, Ayatollah Mojtaba, didn't appear. The services were led by one of his brothers. Iran offered no explanation for Ayatollah Mojtaba's absence.
Now that the funeral has concluded, negotiations between the U.S. and Iran were set to resume, and international mediators are pushing for at least technical talks to restart next week. Vicki?
We hope so. Richard Engel, thank you very much. I want to continue this conversation with NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr now. So, Alice, what is the political fallout for President Trump in the wake of this renewed escalation with Iran?
Yeah, Vicki, good morning. And it's tricky for the president. Poll after poll has shown this war is unpopular with American voters. That's going to matter more and more the closer we get to the November midterms. President Trump is clearly frustrated with not being able to wrap this up and move on. You heard it there in Richard's piece. His rhetoric against the Iranian regime this week is ramping up, calling them scum. He's been saying that they don't stick to their agreements. And then, of course, oil prices pushed up again this week after the flare-up in fighting. And that's the biggest concrete issue here. The president, Republicans want to see gas prices and everything else trending downward as we close in on November. Difficult for that to happen while traffic can't freely flow through the Strait of Hormuz while there's all of this uncertainty.
Alice, there are also a lot of questions about why the president swapped planes earlier this week on his return from that NATO summit in Turkey. What more are we learning about that decision not to take the newly gifted Air Force One that he took to Turkey?
Right. Yeah. And we do have new information here. You can remember President Trump was on board the old Air Force One during takeoff from Turkey, a country, importantly, that borders Iran, very close for comfort there. And then they made a stopover in the UK and switched to the new version. That was that luxurious gift from Qatar. Two sources now say that while there was no specific threat, as a precaution, the Secret Service was the one to recommend flying out of Turkey in the old presidential plane. The White House says the new one was fitted with high-level security protocols, but sources familiar with the aircraft tell NBC News it does not have all the defensive capabilities that were built into the older military-grade presidential plane.
All right, Alice, let's turn to Maine's Senate race now. Democrats are scrambling to replace Graham Platner. He withdrew from the contest after a sexual assault allegation. He has denied that accusation. Who are the candidates who are now trying to step up to take on Susan Collins from the Republican Party?
They're coming out of the woodwork, and the Maine Democratic Party doesn't have a lot of time to sort through them. They have just 2 weeks until July 27th to pick the successor. And they've said they're going to hold a nominating convention, but it's unclear exactly how that will look. You're getting a look there at the growing list from Troy Jackson, a former Maine State Senate president, to Nirav Shah, former director of Maine CDC. And then there are more unconventional options like Dan Kleben, who's a co-founder of the Maine Beer Company. Maine Democrats are accusing Platner of trying to manipulate this succession process. He denied that, but he says it wants to be someone in keeping with the movement that he sought to lead in Maine.
All right, Alice Barr, live from D.C. Alice, thank you so much. The final day of a preliminary hearing is set to take place in Utah today for the man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson is once again set to appear in court, where prosecutors will attempt to show that they have enough evidence against Robinson to proceed to trial. He is charged with aggravated murder, and he has not yet entered his plea in the killing of Kirk. Now, yesterday, the court heard that Robinson allegedly said he wished that he hadn't done it the day after the shooting. This is according to his former roommate. The state district judge will make a decision on whether to proceed with the trial after these proceedings. Well, summer is in full swing, which means a lot of people are heading to the shore, but a record number of shark sightings at one New York City beach has prompted double the amount of closures from the same time last year. Here's Sam Brock with all the details from Rockaway Beach. Sam, good morning.
Hi, Vicki. Look, this is kind of shark insanity, right? We've been touching triple-digit temperatures. You had this heat wave. Families just want to kind of come and escape. You have all these surfers over my shoulder right now getting ready to start their weekend with the sight of sharks. Rockaway Beach, where I am right now, which is about an hour outside of Manhattan, Vicki, has had 23 sightings since the end of May. That is a record, according to officials. It is a combination of a couple of things. Food supply, there's just more fish available right now, what they call bait for sharks, but also more drones in the sky that has caused sightings to skyrocket.
The lifeguard called everyone in because he spotted a bunch of sharks.
This morning, fresh worries about sharks from South Carolina to New York to Texas, taking a bite out of summer fun.
It's a pretty common thing, so it's like I just stay away from getting deep in the water.
At Rockaway Beach in Queens, New York, there have already been 23 closures for sightings in the first month and a half of the season. Officials say that's a record for this time of year and more than double where it was a year ago. And at nearby Jones Beach on Long Island, a man was bitten on the foot while swimming over July 4th weekend.
Probably halfway up, he fell, and then he was screaming, "I got bit."
Biologists later concluding it was likely from a small sand tiger shark. One reason for all the sightings, a steady increase in food supply.
It's pushed right up there to the shoreline, so the sharks are going to go where the bait is.
John Dodd is the executive director of the Atlantic Shark Institute, which captured this close-up view of an 8-foot great white shark in Rhode Island, feeding on a 40-foot humpback whale carcass last week off Block Island.
It was a juvenile, probably 5 years old or less. We think a female.
This year, there have already been at least 7 unprovoked shark attacks in the United States, while it's been a summer of spine-chilling moments caught on camera from a man fighting for his life in this violent attack in Florida. To a bird's-eye view of a shark just inches away from a surfer. Experts say part of the spike in numbers is because there are more drones in the sky spotting the apex predators. That includes 16 of them just purchased by Park Police in New York.
I think people are probably going to be surprised at the number of times they're actually swimming in close proximity to sharks as our surveillance continues to increase.
There's also another aquatic warning this morning, a spike in invasive jellyfish that can sting.
I just noticed them kind of floating out in the waves as I was walking around.
Officials on high alert in Texas, New Jersey, and Massachusetts.
It's breathing.
As beachgoers are urged to be cautious of marine life both above and below the water.
So, Vicki, a little bit of a reality check here. According to the International Shark Attack File, last year in the United States, there were 25 what they call unprovoked shark attacks, which is to say you're not fishing, but just sort of existing and being in the water, and then a shark has some sort of encounter with you. 25 in the U.S., 65 around the globe. That is right in line with historical averages. It's not like those numbers are really surging, but we talked about this. The 16 drones that are now in the skies over here, it's just showing people how close they are to marine life, including sharks. That was already the case to begin with. Now we just have the eyes and the technology to be able to leverage that. It is clearly making things safer in terms of being able to clear the beach. You know, they go a mile in each direction every time there's a shark sighting for an hour minimum. But it's a little scary knowing that you're that close to swimming with sharks.
It's like the snakes in the water that we were talking about yesterday, Sam. When you see it, it gets a little more scary. But listen, that's their turf, right? Sharks are just going to shark. We appreciate it, Sam. Thank you so much. I'll see you later on Daily. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Vicki.
And now to the powerful storms that are making their way across the country this morning. Heavy rains moving across the middle and eastern parts of the country, and they're creating the potential for flash flooding throughout the already waterlogged Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, and Ohio Valley regions. All of these storms are causing issues for airlines during the most hectic part of the summer travel season. According to Flight Tracker, yesterday was the busiest travel day so far this summer, with more than 56,000 flights. That's 12,000 more than normal. NBC News correspondent Ryan Chandler is at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport in Texas. Joins me now with more. Hey, good morning, Ryan.
Well, Vicki, good morning. The summer travel rush is hard to keep track of nowadays. I mean, once it starts, it seems it just doesn't stop. You see the lines stacking up here in Dallas-Fort Worth and all across the country. We're seeing cancellations and delays, some remnants of that July 4th rush still trickling into this weekend, with weather making it that much more difficult for millions.
This morning, a triple threat of severe weather impacting millions across the country. Thunderstorms battering the nation's capital Thursday, forcing evacuations at the Great American State Fair and World Cup Fan Zone. This restaurant in D.C. had to close during wild flooding. While in New Jersey,
look at that.
Torrential downpours flooding entire streets and drivers pushing through submerged roads.
So, oh my gosh, look at this, bro.
This driver completely stuck with water creeping into his car.
Like, this is insane how deep it got.
Down in Maryland, heavy flooding also causing dangerous driving conditions and millions baking under heat alerts from coast to coast. Some in Montana and the Dakotas could see record-breaking temperatures. The crazy weather is also impacting the big rush home from the holiday week for millions more.
I mean, this is just nuts, dude. Look at this thing.
More than 1,000 flights canceled Thursday with over 9,000 delays.
I'm stranded in Miami. I'm literally stranded. And I've been here for like 3 days over when I was supposed to leave.
Massive lines causing travel chaos across the country.
It is just packed.
Including this backed up bag check in Phoenix.
So if I'm flying this weekend, what should I do to make the most of my time and get through quickly?
We want travelers to be aware, first and foremost, take advantage of any of the programs out there that actually can make your travels seamless or stress-free as possible.
Live look at the FlightAware misery map, Vicky. It looks like JFK up in New York near you is the worst delayed right now. Looks like we got 24 canceled already now, 58 flights delayed early this morning. Some more tips from our friend Katie there. If you want to avoid all that, try to take the first flight of the day you're traveling. You make sure that the plane is already at the gate. You don't deal with those afternoon thunderstorms. Makes it that much more likely you're going to get to where you're going on time, Vicky.
Yeah, pro tips. Ryan Chandler, thank you so much. Now for the latest on the weather that is hitting your area, let's bring in NBC meteorologist Angie Lastman. Hey, good morning, Angie.
Hey guys, happy Friday. We've got a couple of trouble spots when it comes to the weather as we get through today and into the weekend. Some of those coming from those strong to severe storms that are likely going to pop up across parts of the Midwest and the Northeast. If you're flying out of Kansas City, St. Louis, Cincinnati today, you'll likely see some delays. And those are also going to be possible at the airport, stretching from New York City all the way down to Charlotte, including Atlanta and New Orleans as well, as we gear up for some scattered thunderstorms. Right now, already seeing a pretty active morning. Most of that stretch across parts of Missouri into Kentucky. You can see some of these flash flood warnings and watches are up right now. 19 million people included in that flood watch as more of that heavy rain is on the table through the day today. We'll specifically watch for the greatest chance for flash flooding anywhere from Kansas City to Pittsburgh and down through Knoxville, including Nashville and Cincinnati today. Rainfall rates, hourly rainfall rates, I should say, anywhere from 1 inch to up to 3 inches on already saturated ground. So that is why we are concerned for the flooding. Otherwise, temperatures above average, and we're talking about for most of the country at this point. We've got the 90s on tap yet again across Memphis today, a heat index of 107. 107 for what it'll feel like in New Orleans, Charleston at 108 for your heat index. Richmond, you top out at 93 degrees, but you feel like 97. And that heat expands even as we get into tomorrow. Most of parts of the Northeast running above normal, stretching down to the Southeast. Savannah, your actual temperature is 100 degrees, but you'll feel like 106. And we finish out the weekend with those warm conditions continuing across the West as well. Here's what it looks like today. We'll see the potential for the 90s plus across much of this region, the Rockies, the Southwest included, and we could be likely breaking some of these all-time records across this region. So it's 98 degrees in Jackson on Sunday, 97 on Monday, 100 plus across parts of Colorado. Rapid City, you top out at 105 on Sunday and Monday for your actual temperature. Otherwise, nice conditions across parts of the interior Northeast and New England as we get through your Saturday. Dry conditions, too, for the Great Lakes in the Midwest. We'll see record highs, as I mentioned, across most of the West, but those severe storms could slow you down for parts of the Southeast, not only Saturday, but Sunday as well. We'll see that heat wave continuing well into the end of our weekend across the West. Back to you.
We are remembering a pioneer in air and space, Wally Funk, who remains the oldest woman ever to fly into space, passed away this week at the age of 87. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello joins me now with a look back at her life and her persistent dream to reach new heights. Hey, Tom, good morning.
Hey, Vicki. You know, I got to spend time with Wally Funk. I was there when she finally went up into space. By all definitions, she was a trailblazer. First becoming a pilot as a teenager, she always wanted to go to space, but despite passing all the tests, not allowed to become an astronaut because back in the 1960s, women weren't allowed, right? Decades later, she finally got her chance, and her first reaction was that she was ready to go again.
Is it everything you thought it would be?
Here, catch.
For Wally Funk, the flight of a lifetime was 60 years in the making. In 2021, at age 82, she became the oldest person at that point to ever fly into space.
I love it.
On the inaugural human flight for Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket.
And I want to thank you, sweetheart, because you made it possible for me. I've been waiting a long time to finally get it up there.
Born in 1939, Mary Wallace, Wally Funk, dreamed of flying from a very young age and became a pilot as a teenager. In the 1960s, she became the youngest in an elite group of female pilots selected to undergo astronaut training. But at the time, women were not allowed, and the Mercury 13, as they became known, never got the chance to launch.
They told me that I had done better and completed the work faster than any of the guys. So I got a hold of NASA 4 times. I said, I want to become an astronaut, but nobody would take me.
But Funk refused to stay grounded, logging more than 19,000 flight hours. In 2021, Amazon and Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos asked her to join him on the trip she'd never given up on.
We're going to fly you up into space on the very first flight. That's your...
Speaking with Hoda on Today, Bezos praised Wally's drive.
We can confirm at 82 years old, she can still outperform all of the men.
That flight earned Funk her long-awaited astronaut wings.
I loved it. I want to go again fast.
Following her death, Blue Origin wrote Wally was a pioneer in every sense of the word. We were humbled to be part of her journey.
Nothing has ever gotten in my way, and I like to do things that nobody has ever done.
Yeah, that she did. In a post, the city of Grapevine, Texas, highlighted Wally Funk's accomplishments long before that space flight, right? Including becoming the first female flight instructor at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, the first female FAA inspector, the first female NTSB investigator. The city says Funk passed away peacefully earlier this week, surrounded by loved ones. And Vicki, I got to tell you, I was there when she went into space. Wow. She was so excited. I talked to her, so excited, but also so committed to being a trailblazer and setting an example for young girls and women. By then, of course, a lot of women had gone into space, but she really, really believed in doing everything she could to set the example.
I'm so happy to see that part of her legacy and just seeing her there in that blue suit, what she represents to so many people. Tom, thank you so much for bringing us her story.
You bet.
Much more ahead here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, our own Savannah Sellers goes inside Levi Strauss & Company, the iconic brand that has been defining American style for more than 150 years. But up first, the latest on the investigation into the July 4th death of an 18-year-old in Mississippi, as his family raises new questions about what happened during a boat trip with friends. That's next. Back now with a tragic mystery along the Mississippi Gulf Coast, where the family of a missing teen is searching for answers after his body was found. 18-year-old Nolan Wells is a college student and a football standout. He disappeared on the 4th of July after boating to a nearby island. His body was recovered on Monday, and now his loved ones are demanding to know what happened. Senior national correspondent and NBC News Daily anchor Kate Snow is here now with more. Good morning, Kate. This is an awful story.
It's an awful story for this poor family, Vicki. And this story has gotten a lot of attention online, on social media. Frankly, there is a lot of speculation, misinformation, even anger around what may have happened to Nolan Wells. But the local sheriff is saying they are still investigating and no cause of death has been released.
This morning, a heartbroken Mississippi family enduring the loss of their 18-year-old son, Nolan Wells. The Jackson County Sheriff says he wants answers for them.
We're resolved to find the truth through all this. That's what the family deserves. That's what the community deserves. And that's what Nolan's friends deserve.
Wells, who played football in college, was last seen around 3 p.m. on the 4th of July on Horn Island, according to the sheriff. His body recovered in the water Monday morning.
His body was washed up on the shore, and so we have to get to the answers. His family is not accepting that it was an accidental drowning. They want the truth.
His mother posting, "My heart is broken for our sweet son who was always willing to cheer and uplift others. Nolan was a special soul." The family's lawyer, prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump, says they requested his body be flown to Washington for an independent autopsy. Wells boated to the popular Barrier Island off the Mississippi coast with a group of friends Saturday, but did not return with the group. This photo may be one of the last taken of him. Wells was reported missing by his family that evening after the friends returned home without him. It's unclear if any of the people in the photo were with him when he disappeared. Crump has suggested race may be a factor in whatever happened.
Nolan was the only African American in the group, and so it is like making people harken back to the sins of the past in the state of Mississippi.
Some have speculated that videos circulated on social media show Nolan in an argument with other people, but even the person who posted the video says she doesn't know who's talking or what it shows.
We're looking for witness accounts. We're looking for if anyone made videos or took pictures on the island during that time period and in that location involving Nolan.
A local judge posted on Facebook that her son was one of the friends on the boat with Wells last Saturday. She says they are grieving for the Wells family and that her son cooperated with investigators. She also says that her son left the area when their boat was taking on water, adding that Wells, quote, made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends, Vicki.
So, Kate, Nolan's family, their attorney, Ben Crump, they want this independent autopsy. What are they hoping to learn?
Yeah, they've said that they moved the body already from Mississippi to Washington, D.C. They say they may have results as soon as today. They essentially, Ben Crump, the lawyer, said, we just want independent eyes on this, and they want to make sure that they get every possible indication of what might have happened to cause his death.
I know we're looking for a press conference from them later today, but in the meantime, there is a lot of misinformation swirling about this case online.
There's even some, according to the family, some AI-generated videos that are completely made up, that aren't the family at all speaking, but it looks like it's the family. So that's kind of disturbing. I want to point out they did appear, the family, on Good Morning America on ABC just a short time ago, and they said that they are also concerned that there's a conflict between what I just said that the judge said, who is the mother of one of the other boys, versus saying that he wanted to stay on the island and go back with other people. Right. The family is saying on ABC that there was a young woman with him who said, no, he told me he was returning home with his friends.
Right. There are these conflicting statements.
Right.
There is curiosity over the phone, why the friends were potentially had possession of the phone. So a lot of questions. You said the autopsy results may be out today.
The independent autopsy, although the one that was done by the county, still has not been released.
All right. Kate, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. More morning news now. It's coming up right after this. Stay right there. We're back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with President Trump's move to cut key election commission members just months ahead of the midterms. Legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach joins me now with that and more. Good morning, Gary.
Hey there, Vicki. Here's what's happening in politics now. NBC News has learned the White House has dismissed all 3 remaining members of the Election Assistance Commission, a bipartisan group that helps state and local officials run elections and certify election equipment. Just a few months ahead of the 2026 midterm elections, the 2 remaining Democratic commissioners and 1 Republican commissioner were all told Thursday their positions were terminated effective immediately. Anyone President Trump intends to appoint to these open seats will have to go through Senate confirmation first. Over in Ohio, a federal grand jury in Columbus has indicted 8 men on charges related to their plot to attack the UFC Freedom 250 event at the White House last month. The 8 men from across the country, who range in age from 19 to 32 years old, were charged with conspiracy to provide material support to terrorists and conspiracy to commit murder on federal government property. They could spend the rest of their lives behind bars if convicted. And down in Florida, out with PBI, in with DJT. West Palm Beach International Airport is now Donald J. Trump International Airport after Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law making the name change official earlier this year. President Trump called the name change an honor, and the first flight to take off from the newly renamed airport was none other than Trump's own personal plane, dubbed Trump Force One, and it was filled with members of his family and close allies. Not to be outdone, Tennessee elected officials announced Thursday they're renaming a bridge in the state after the 47th president. That's what's happening in politics now. Back to you.
All right, Gary Grumbach, thank you so much. Now to a legal victory for American farmers. John Deere has reached a settlement with the FTC after years of complaints. The farm equipment maker restricted access to the tools and software that farmers and independent mechanics needed to repair its equipment. NBC News business and economy reporter Ali Canal has our report.
Farmers can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on tractors and crucial equipment. But when those machines break down, they can't always fix the problem themselves.
Even if we have to send it to the John Deere house, we're going to have to figure this one out.
But now, a new settlement with the Federal Trade Commission and 5 states could change that, requiring John Deere to give farmers and independent repair shops access to many of the same repair tools and software its own dealers use. Willie Cade is a longtime advocate for the right to repair movement. The idea that if you buy a product, you should have access to the tools and information needed to fix it.
Now that tractors are rolling computers, you need a computer to fix it, period. And to date, John Deere has withheld the complete set of tools to do that.
Missouri corn and soybean farmer Jared Wilson knows that fight firsthand. We first spoke with him about this on his Missouri farm last year. He says his combine once lost power during harvest, sitting idle for days as technicians tried to find the problem.
My soybean pods were literally splitting open and the soybeans were falling on the ground.
Wilson says he could have physically installed the part that ultimately needed to be replaced, but did not have the information to identify the problem or the software to get the new part working.
It costs tens of thousands of dollars, and this is a commonplace thing that's happened in agriculture.
Cade says he advised lawyers, and Wilson was a plaintiff in a separate class action lawsuit involving John Deere that settled earlier this year. The new settlement is designed to break down some of those barriers. For advocates like Cade, it's a positive first step.
It's no longer a pinky promise. It's under the court supervision.
Wilson, meanwhile, worries a settlement does not strictly define what Deere can charge for those tools, potentially pricing some farmers out.
So would you consider this a win for farmers?
I think win is a pretty big word.
In a statement, John Deere called the agreement good news for its customers, saying it formalizes the company's ongoing commitment to expanding access to diagnostic and repair tools. But advocates say the fight isn't over yet.
We're a long way from being done.
Ali Canal, NBC News.
Ali, thank you. Coming up, the new first responders, why one company wants drones to be sent to the site of emergencies, even replacing police helicopters. NBC's Gotti Schwartz gets a demo of what those drones can do. That's coming up next. And finally, this hour, it is Friday, which means it's time for your weekly can't miss list. A look at all the movies, shows, and music you need to see and hear this weekend. Joining me this week, entertainment journalist and pop culture expert, Brian Balthazar. Brian, good morning. Happy Friday. So let's start with what is coming out in theaters and the live action Moana remake. Moana? The original was a huge global hit. It was actually the most streamed movie of all time on Disney+. I loved it. How does the live action version compare?
Well, it compares in some ways. People are saying almost exactly. The open. First of all, it's 10 years later. The Rock is back. Looks almost like his animated character. It's pretty incredible. But it also, it stays very true to the animated film. And so people are saying that can be a thing. I also think this is perhaps going to impact the way Disney casts their movies, because The Rock is a great example of someone who translates very well to the live action version. Will they be thinking about that sort of thing when they cast their animated films about eventually doing a live action version? This is going to do very well.
And you didn't answer my question, Bri. Moana or Moana?
I say Moana.
Okay.
Have I been saying it wrong all this time?
No. I'll have to rewatch it. I loved it when it came out, but now I can't remember how they said it in the movie. All right, if we are staying in this weekend, lots of streaming options to choose from. Let's start with the Westies. That is it's based on a notorious crime gang that operated in parts of New York back in the 1970s and the 80s. Some are calling it Manhattan's Peaky Blinders. What do you think?
Right. It looks incredible. J.K. Simmons stars in this. And by the way, this is just blocks away from where 30 Rock is. The Hell's Kitchen, once one of the most dangerous parts of New York City, the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Organized crime was a big problem there. The cinematography and the writing and the performances in this look really good. So if you're into organized crime and into, like, I don't want to say period because it's not that long ago, but if you're into something that's a little bit further back in time, this is one to watch. Very good.
Okay, sign me up. It looks really good. I can just tell from those images we showed. For something a little different, the 5-star weekend. I've been seeing a lot of ads for this. It's a limited series on Peacock. It has an all-star cast, including Jennifer Garner. What do we know about this story?
Like you said, an incredible all-star cast. This is based on a very popular book. Jennifer Garner is a woman who encounters tragedy in her life and organizes a group of her girlfriends from various parts of her life. Some of them she's been in touch with, some of them she's lost a little touch with. And what unfolds during the course of this is kind of an emotional journey, so to speak. Very popular book. An amazing cast. I think if this is kind of like, if you want something a bit emotional, you want to feel things this weekend, this is the one to watch.
Oh, okay. Also on Peacock, Married at First Sight is back, Brian. This time it is set in Seattle. It's already getting some buzz. What are we expecting?
Again, you know, more of the same kind of drama. Like the show is, this is the beauty of developing shows right now. You want a show that says exactly what it is. These are people who marry before they date, you know, and so basically it's all that you can expect. You know, things don't always work out, as we see. Incredibly popular franchise, and you can see many of the prior franchises on the streaming platform as well. So this is a fun one if you like kind of messy reality TV.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept for sure. Okay, so HBO, they have a new limited documentary series about the Burning Man Festival. It's called The Man Will Burn. I mean, I can only imagine, but the visuals have got to be stunning on this one. What do you know on this new docuseries?
Well, as you know, as you can see here from the pictures, it's if not the biggest, one of the biggest festivals you can attend. It is the biggest. And also just what it takes to pull this off. The fact that this happened is a miracle. What we're not knowing yet, because I haven't seen all 4 pieces, is there's a lot of stuff that happens at Burning Man. Like not great people have died at Burning Man, things like that. This one seems to focus more on the lore and the building of the festival and the incredible feat of making it happen and the history and the lore. But I'm curious to know if they will dig into some of the more kind of like unfortunate, kind of darker sides of this festival. But again, if you like a good multi-part documentary, this is one to watch.
Yeah, it looks awesome. All right, speaking of music, what about the Rolling Stones with their new album, Foreign Tongues? People are saying it's still really relevant.
Right. Can you believe this? Of course, look at them. I mean, first of all, oh, to be 25 again, because if you look at their music video for In the Stars, they are de-aged to look like their 20-something selves. And
what is that, AI?
They use a tech company that leans heavily on AI. We don't know exactly all of the trickery that's used, but it's just suffice to say that there's some AI involved. But they are de-aged. The music is great. And look at them in, what is this? Their 3rd album of just this century. Isn't that amazing? Like, so it's great music. Take a listen. I think if you like the Stones, you like this.
All right, Brian Balthazar, thank you so much. And that'll do it for this hour of Morning News Now. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.